All right, well, right now you're going to be going over this practice quiz you just took, and some of you might be a little bit confused with the top because they've kind of given you the numbers. This one you kind of had to figure out the decay factor. So let's talk about the scenario real quick. It says when you often try to learn new vocabulary words, you find that out after a few days you have forgotten some of what you learned. So suppose that you cram for a big test and memorize 100 new words, and for each day after the test you forget 10% of the words you learned. So if you know 100 of the 100 words, right, that's 100%. Okay. So if you forget 10% of the words, okay, that means every day you know 90% of the words from what you learned the previous day. Okay. So the decay factor, if you turn 90% into a decimal, your decay factor, not growth factor, remember this is exponential decay, your decay factor is 0.9. Okay. Remember decay factors are less than 1. Okay. That's how it decreases. So you got to basically take every thing times 0.9. Okay. So 0 is 100. So if you take 0.9 and multiply it by 100, you get 90. And then if you multiply 90 by 0.9, you get 81. And then you take 81 and multiply it by 0.9, you get 72.9. And then you take 72.9 and multiply it by 0.9, you get 65.61. Now again, these are the words you're remembering. And then you get, the last one is 59.049. Because remember, you're multiplying the previous number times 0.9, I'm sorry, 0.9 to get this answer, and then this answer, then this answer, and so on. Okay? You're just not going down by 9, which is a common mistake. Okay? So now that we have our table set, okay, if I go ahead and label this, 1, 2, and we only go to 5, but that's all right. And this axis here is days after test. And this here is words remembered. And we'll go up by 10 here. All right, so we started right there. Okay. And then at 1 at 90 is right there. At 2, 81 is just above 80. And then 72.9, so we're just going to, so you can kind of see the direction this is going here. About midway here. And then at 5 was 59 points, so we'll say about right here. So you can see that this is just, it's not decreasing fast, but it's just a steady decrease. Okay, so that's what our graph looks like. So on the actual quiz, you know, up here, these values that you wrote in are basically worth a half point each. Okay, this whole section here will be worth 3 points because obviously you want to label the graphs, and then you also want to get the graph correct. So now we need to write our equation. Well, remember, the general equation is this, right? And again, B is your either your growth factor, or now it could also be your decay factor. And A is your starting point or y-intercept. Well, we started at 100 words, right? So it's 100 times, and then we can do 0.9 to the x power. That's our equation. Okay. Again, the decay factor has to be less than 1. This is your starting point. We started right here at 100 words. Okay. So again, that's your y-intercept. So now that we have this information, we can answer these questions below. How many words will you remember after 2 weeks? Well, they're talking about days, right? So if we use the equation here, 100 times 0.9, how many days is 2 weeks? Well, 2 weeks, right, 2 weeks is 14 days. So instead of x, you're not going to put 2, you're going to put 14 because x is the number of days, not weeks. So this would be 2 to the 14th power. I'm sorry, 0.9 to the 14th power. and then multiply it by 100. So if I take 0.9 and go to the 14th power, I get 0.2287, big long decimal. I take that number and multiply it by 100, and I basically get 22.8767. So I mean, we can just round it. So you're about 22.9 words out of the 100 you'll remember after 2 weeks. So again, in terms of explaining how you know, you can also just show your work, like always. Show your work. All right, and again, after how many days will you remember only half the words you have learned? Well, remember, the words that we've learned is 100, right? So what's half of 100? Right, 50. Okay. Well, if you look back up at the top, at 5 words, right, or at 5 days, we remembered 59.049 words, right? So if we try to plug in 6 days, 0.9 to the 6th power, excuse me, times 100, at 6 days is 53.144 words. Okay, so we're still not halfway yet. So at day 7, if we plug that in, day 7, 0.9 to the 7th power times 100, and that is 47.829, a couple other numbers, but that's all right, so you get the idea. So our answer is going to fall between the 6th and 7th day. We will get to about half the words between the 6th and 7th day. And there's your work showing it. Okay. Obviously 5 is out of the running because that's too high. It's right between these two numbers somewhere. Okay. And again, we don't have to get into hours of this and that. You're using the information that we've got to answer the question up above. So this is the quiz that you'll take on Wednesday. Okay. So make sure you go home tonight and look that over and be ready to take it for Wednesday morning. And if you have any questions, of course, you can always email me. Hope this was helpful.